Commander Lee Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. The hot liquid spilled across his uniform as he jumped up from his desk. Red lights flashed everywhere in his office aboard the Terran Defense Station. His communication device buzzed with urgent messages. "Sir, we have something big on the sensors," came the voice of Lieutenant Yoon Jae-wook from the bridge. Really big. And it just appeared out of nowhere. Tae-ho ran through the corridors of the station. Crew members rushed past him in all directions. Some were heading to battle stations, others to the communication center. The noise was incredible. Everyone was talking at once, shouting orders and asking questions. When he reached the bridge, chaos greeted him. Dr. Park So-jin stood at the science station, her hands flying over the controls. Her eyes were wide with excitement and worry. "Commander, the energy readings are off the charts. This thing is massive, at least 10 kilometers long." "Is it a ship?" Tae-ho asked, moving to the main screen. "Has to be," replied Captain Kim Do-young from the tactical station. "But the design is completely alien. I've never seen anything like it." Engineer Choi Min-ho looked up from his console. "The power source is incredible. They're using some kind of energy system we don't understand. It's like they're bending space itself." The main screen showed the alien vessel. It looked like a giant crystal flower floating in space. Smooth curves and strange angles reflected the light from nearby stars. Beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Are they hostile?" Tae-ho asked. "No weapons detected," Do-young reported. "But with that size, they might not need conventional weapons." Suddenly, the communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange, too calm, too measured. "Terran vessel, this is the Galactic Confederation ship Harmony of Spheres. We come in peace to initiate first contact protocols with your species." The bridge went silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. "First contact," shouted So-jin. "This is it. This is really happening." "Get me a full scan of their technology," Tae-ho ordered. "Should we launch fighters?" Do-young asked. "No weapons, but stay ready," Tae-ho replied. "I need to analyze their language patterns," said Jae-wook. "The energy readings are still climbing," Min-ho called out. The alien voice spoke again. "Please, respond according to Standard Diplomatic Greeting Protocol 77 Alpha." "What the hell is Protocol 77 Alpha?" Tae-ho muttered. "I have no idea," So-jin admitted. "But we should respond. This is history in the making." Tae-ho activated the communication system. "Harmony of Spheres. This is Commander Lee Tae-ho of the Terran Defense Station. We welcome you to our system. This is our first contact with an alien species. We're honored to meet you." There was a long pause. Too long. "Terran Commander," the alien voice finally said. "We observe elevated stress indicators in your crew's vocal patterns. Are you currently experiencing a crisis situation?" The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. "No crisis," Tae-ho replied. "We're just excited to meet you. This is a big moment for humanity." "Excitement presents as crisis behavior in your species?" the alien asked. So-jin stepped forward. "Commander, maybe I should handle the cultural aspects. I'm the xenobiology specialist." "Go ahead, Doctor." So-jin activated her microphone. "Harmony of Spheres, this is Dr. Park So-jin. Human emotional responses can be quite intense. What you're hearing is normal for our species when we encounter something new and important." Another long pause. "Dr. Park So-jin, we are detecting multiple simultaneous conversations on your vessel. Your crew appears to be in a state of disorganized response. Do you require assistance?" Minho looked up from his console. Disorganized? We're working perfectly fine. Multiple energy spikes detected from human vessels approaching our position, the alien voice continued. Are these vessels responding to a distress call? Du Young checked his tactical display. Those are just our patrol ships. They always investigate unknown contacts. Standard procedure. Standard procedure involves what you classify as panic responses? The alien asked. Panic? Taeho felt his temper rising. We're not panicking. We're being careful. We don't know who you are or what you want. The communication system went quiet. The alien ship just sat there, beautiful and silent. I think we confused them, Sojin said quietly. How did we confuse them? Jaewook asked. All we did was talk to them. Maybe that's the problem, Minho suggested. We all talked at once. Maybe their species doesn't do that. On the main screen, smaller ships began emerging from the alien vessel. They were elegant and smooth, moving in perfect formation. Are those fighters? Du Young asked, his hand moving toward the weapon controls. No, Sojin said, studying the sensor readings. I think they're observation craft. They're scanning us. Terran Station, the alien voice returned. We are conducting preliminary cultural assessment. Your species demonstrates highly irregular communication patterns and stress responses. We must evaluate whether formal contact protocols can proceed safely. Safely? Taeho repeated. What do you mean safely? Your crew exhibits constant state changes, multiple overlapping conversations, and rapid decision modifications. These behaviors suggest psychological instability or species-wide anxiety disorder. The bridge fell silent. Then everyone started laughing. They think we're crazy, Du Young chuckled. Anxiety disorder? Sojin giggled. We're just being human. Terran Station, the alien voice sounded concerned. Your crew is now exhibiting vocal patterns associated with hysteria or mental breakdown. We are withdrawing to safe distance for consultation with Confederation medical specialists. Wait, Taeho called out. We're not having breakdowns. We're laughing. It's a positive emotional response. Laughter during crisis situations indicates severe psychological trauma, the alien replied. We will return when you have received appropriate treatment. The beautiful alien ships began pulling away from the station. No, wait! Sojin shouted into the microphone. You're misunderstanding us. This is how humans normally behave. But the alien vessel was already moving away, its escort ships following. In perfect formation, Taeho slumped into his command chair. Well, that went great. Our first contact with aliens, and they think we're all mentally ill. To be fair, Minho said, we probably do look crazy to them. Look at us. We're all talking at once, jumping around, getting excited about everything. That's normal for humans, Jaewook protested. Maybe that's the problem, Sojin said thoughtfully. What's normal for us might be completely alien to them. Great. Taeho sighed. The most important moment in human history, and we scared them away by being ourselves. The alien ship disappeared into the distance, leaving humanity alone with the knowledge that somewhere out there, an advanced galactic civilization was probably having a very serious discussion about whether humans were safe to talk to. Sir, Du Young said quietly, what do we tell Earth? Taeho looked at his crew, all of them waiting for his answer. Good people, all of them. Smart, dedicated, and completely human in every chaotic, unpredictable way. We tell them the truth, he said finally. First contact happened, and apparently we're too human for the aliens. The bridge lights flickered as the station's systems returned to normal status. But nothing would ever be normal again. Humanity now knew they were not. alone in the universe. They also knew that the universe might not be ready for humanity. 3 weeks had passed since the alien ship disappeared. Earth was going crazy with excitement and worry. Every news channel talked about nothing else. Scientists argued on television about what the aliens wanted. Politicians made speeches about humanity's future among the stars. Religious leaders debated what it all meant. Ambassador Kang Soo-bin stood in the briefing room aboard the Terran Defense Station. She had arrived 2 days ago with a full diplomatic team. The room was packed with experts from every field imaginable. Everyone was talking at once, as usual. The linguistic analysis suggests they use very formal communication patterns, said Lieutenant Yoon Jae-wook. He had been working non-stop on translating the alien messages. Every word is carefully chosen, no casual speech at all. That explains why they thought we were having breakdowns, replied Dr. Lim Hai-wan, the new theoretical physicist on the team. We talk fast, interrupt each other, use slang. To them, that probably sounds like chaos. Commander Lee Tae-ho entered, the room carrying a cup of coffee. The discussions stopped for a moment. Any word from our alien friends? Actually, yes, Soo-bin said, holding up a data pad. They sent a message an hour ago. They're coming back. The room erupted in excited chatter. Everyone started asking questions at the same time. When will they arrive? Are they bringing more ships? What do they want this time? Did they mention the medical treatment thing again? Soo-bin raised her hand for quiet. It took several tries. They said they're bringing a cultural assessment team. They want to study us before deciding if we're safe for formal contact. Safe? Tae-ho laughed. We're the ones who should be worried about safety. They have ships the size of cities. From their message, I think they're more worried about our mental health than our weapons, Soo-bin explained. They keep using words like evaluation and therapeutic intervention. Dr. Park So-jin looked up from her research notes. I've been studying their communication patterns. They never overlap speech, never interrupt, never show emotion in their voices. It's like talking to a computer. Maybe they are computers, suggested scientist Dr. Lim Hai-wan. Or maybe they're a hive mind species. That would explain why our individual conversations confuse them. 2 hours later, the alien ship appeared again. This time, it brought friends. 3 smaller vessels accompanied the massive crystal flower ship. They positioned themselves at a safe distance from the human station. The communication system activated. The same calm, measured voice spoke. Terran Station, this is Cultural Specialist Velthari Designation Prime Observer. We are here to conduct behavioral assessment of your species. Soo-bin took the microphone. She had practiced this moment for weeks. Her words were careful and slow. Welcome back, Prime Observer. I am Ambassador Kang Soo-bin. We are honored by your presence and eager to learn from you. Ambassador Kang Soo-bin, we observe you have altered your communication patterns since our previous contact. This suggests adaptive capability. However, we detect elevated stress indicators from multiple individuals in your vicinity. Soo-bin looked around the room. Everyone was trying very hard to stay quiet and calm, but they were all clearly excited. Some were bouncing slightly in their chairs. Others were whispering to each other. A few were taking notes frantically. Prime Observer, my colleagues are excited to meet you. This is a historic moment for humanity. We've never encountered another intelligent species before. Excitement manifests as agitation in your species. We observe this pattern consistently. Do all humans experience such emotional volatility? Dr. Lim Hai-Wan couldn't contain herself anymore. She grabbed a microphone. Prime observer. Human emotions are completely normal. We experience joy, curiosity, excitement, worry, and many other feelings. This is how we process new experiences. There was a long pause. Much longer than before. Dr. Lim Hai-Wan, you interrupted the designated speaker. You also increased vocal volume and speech rate significantly. These behaviors indicate territorial, aggression, or challenge response. What? Lim Hai-Wan looked shocked. I wasn't being aggressive. I was just enthusiastic. Enthusiasm presents as aggression in your species? Taeho stepped forward. Prime observer, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding here. What you're seeing is normal human behavior. We're social creatures. We interact. We interrupt. We show emotions. This is how we communicate. Commander Lee Tae-ho, your crew has now demonstrated overlapping speech patterns, emotional volatility, territorial challenges, rapid behavioral changes, and collective agitation. These symptoms suggest your species exists in a permanent state of psychological distress. The room fell silent. Then Lieutenant Yoon Jae-wook started laughing. He couldn't help himself. The idea that normal human behavior was a sign of mental illness was just too funny. Jae-wook, Subin hissed. Not now. But it was too late. The laughter was contagious. Dr. Park So-jin started giggling. Then Engineer Choi Min-ho joined in. Soon half the room was laughing. Terran Station, the alien voice sounded alarmed. Multiple individuals are now exhibiting hysteria responses. Are you experiencing a collective psychological breakdown? No, Subin said quickly. They're laughing because the situation is amusing to them. Laughter is a positive human response. Laughter during crisis communication indicates severe cognitive disruption. We are documenting these behaviors for Confederation medical analysis. It's not a crisis! Lim Hee-wan shouted. Then she caught herself and lowered her voice. Sorry. I mean, this isn't a crisis situation, Prime Observer. We're just having a normal conversation. Normal conversation includes hysteria, aggression, and disruption patterns. Dr. Park So-jin tried a different approach. Prime Observer, may I ask how your species communicates? Do you ever show emotions or speak spontaneously? Velthari communication. Follows established protocols. Individual thoughts are filtered through collective consideration before expression. Emotional responses are processed internally to maintain social stability. That sounds very organized, So-jin said carefully, but humans are different. We think out loud. We share emotions immediately. We build ideas together through discussion. Building ideas through conflict and disruption appears inefficient. Lim Hai-Wan couldn't stay quiet. It's not conflict, it's collaboration. When we interrupt each other, we're adding information. When we get excited, we're showing interest. When we argue, we're exploring different possibilities. You achieve progress through argument? Sometimes, yes, Taeho admitted. We call it creative tension. Different viewpoints help us find better solutions. The alien ship moved slightly, farther away. Terran Station, we have completed preliminary assessment. Your species demonstrates advanced technology despite apparent psychological dysfunction. This presents an unprecedented scenario for Confederation evaluation protocols. Subin felt her heart sinking. What does that mean for formal contact? You will be classified as a species requiring therapeutic intervention before full galactic membership can be considered. We are recommending you for remedial civilization therapy. Remedial civilization therapy? Taeho repeated. Correct. Your species has achieved spaceflight and nuclear technology while maintaining primitive emotional and social responses. This suggests significant developmental delays in psychological evolution. The room erupted again. Everyone started talking at once, gesturing wildly, asking questions and making protests. "See?" came the alien voice. "This confirms our assessment. You cannot maintain orderly discussion for more than brief periods." Subin tried to restore order, but it was hopeless. The humans were being human, and that was exactly the problem. "Prime Observer," she finally said. "What if we don't want therapy? What if this is just how we are?" Species that refuse psychological treatment typically remain isolated until they achieve proper social development. This process usually requires several thousand years. "Several thousand years?" Minho gasped. "Minimum. Some species require intervention to prevent self-destruction through emotional volatility." "We're not going to self-destruct," Lim Haiwan protested. "We've survived this way for thousands of years already. Survival and healthy development are different concepts. Your species exhibits all characteristics of a civilization in permanent crisis mode." The alien ships began moving away again. "Wait!" Subin called. "Can we at least continue talking? Maybe we can learn from each other." "We will maintain observation protocols. However, direct cultural exchange is inadvisable until your species demonstrates improved emotional regulation and communication stability." "But how are we supposed to improve if you won't talk to us?" "Therapeutic development must come from within. External pressure typically increases dysfunction in psychologically compromised species. The alien vessels disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the humans alone again. The briefing room was quiet for exactly 10 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once again, arguing about what went wrong, proposing solutions, and generally being completely human about the whole situation. Subin looked at Tae-ho. "I think we just made it worse." "Yeah," he agreed. "Apparently, trying not to act crazy makes us look even crazier." "So what do we do now?" Tae-ho shrugged. "I guess we wait and see if they're right about us needing therapy." 6 months had passed since the aliens decided humanity needed therapy. Earth kept trying to contact them, but the Velthari only sent polite messages saying they were monitoring human development from a safe distance. It was frustrating for everyone involved. General Baek Won-ho stood in the war room deep inside Earth's military headquarters. The walls were covered with star maps and tactical displays. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. This was not about the aliens anymore. This was about something much worse. "How many worlds did they hit?" Won-ho asked his aide. "3 so far, sir," replied the young officer. "Kepler 442b, Proxima Centauri C, and Wolf 359b, all Velthari colonies." The attacks started simultaneously exactly 47 hours ago. Dr. Shin A. Ra, the military psychologist, looked up from her data tablet. "The attackers call themselves the Krexhai. From what we can tell, they're some kind of machine intelligence, artificial beings with ships that can think for themselves." "And the Velthari can't stop them?" Won-ho asked. "That's the problem," Ara explained. "The Velthari make decisions through consensus. Every choice has to be debated and agreed upon by their entire collective consciousness. The Krexhai attacked so fast that the Velthari are still trying to decide how to respond." Commander Lee Tae-ho entered the war room. His face was grim. "I just received a message from the Harmony of Spheres. They're requesting assistance." "They want our help?" Won-ho raised an eyebrow. "The species that thinks we need therapy?" "Apparently, desperate times call for desperate measures. Taeho replied. The Krexhai are heading for the Velthari home system. If they fall, the entire Galactic Confederation could collapse. Faichkad, communication screen flickered to life. The familiar calm voice of Prime Observer spoke, but this time there was something different. A slight tremor of worry. General Bayek Wonho, we formally request Terran assistance in repelling the Krexhai invasion. Your species' unconventional responses may prove effective against machine intelligence that operates on predictable algorithms. Wonho activated his microphone. Prime Observer, I thought you considered us psychologically unstable. Why would you want unstable allies? The Krexhai predict behavior based on logical analysis. Velthari responses follow established patterns, making us vulnerable to algorithmic countermeasures. Your species' erratic behavior patterns may confuse their targeting systems. Dr. Shin Ara stepped forward. In other words, you want us because we're unpredictable. Correct. Your psychological dysfunction may serve as a tactical advantage in this scenario. Wonho looked around the room. His staff was already moving into action without waiting for orders. Captain Kim Do-young was updating fleet positions. Engineer Choi Min-ho was running system diagnostics. Dr. Park So-jin was analyzing the Krexhai ship designs. Lieutenant Yoon Jae-wook was coordinating with other Earth installations. Prime Observer, Wonho said, will help. But you need to understand something. When humans go into battle, we don't follow your careful, logical approaches. We adapt, improvise, and change tactics constantly. We understand your species exhibits chaotic response patterns. It's not chaos, Ara interrupted. It's rapid, multivariable processing. Humans can hold dozens of different battle plans in their minds simultaneously and switch between them based on changing conditions. There was a pause. This capability has been observed in your preliminary assessments. It was classified as anxiety disorder. Wonho started laughing. Anxiety disorder? Lady, what you call anxiety disorder, we call being ready for anything. The human fleet began mobilizing immediately. Unlike the Velthari, who were still debating the proper response to the crisis, humans started preparing for 15 different scenarios at once. Some ships loaded heavy weapons for direct assault. Others prepared stealth equipment for reconnaissance missions. Medical ships got ready for evacuation operations. General Wonho, came Prime Observer's voice, your fleet is preparing contradictory mission profiles simultaneously. This suggests continued decision-making difficulties. No, Wonho replied. This suggests we're not sure what we'll find when we get there. So we're preparing for everything. Captain Do-young looked up from his tactical station. Sir, I've got battle plans for frontal assault, guerrilla warfare, rescue operations, and strategic retreat. Which one should I implement? All of them, Wonho said without hesitation. We'll decide which one to use when we see what we're up against. Dr. Park So-jin was studying the sensor data from the attacked worlds. The Krexhai ships are beautiful, she said. Perfect geometric designs, flawless coordination, mathematical precision in everything they do. That's their weakness, Ara observed. Perfect coordination means predictable patterns. They probably can't adapt to truly random behavior. Engineer Min-ho was modifying ship systems in real time. I'm installing randomization protocols in our navigation systems. The fleet will be able to change formation patterns unpredictably, even from our own perspective. Is that safe? Taeho asked. Probably not, Min-ho admitted. But safety isn't the goal right now. Confusion is. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace. 12 ships heading into battle against an enemy that had already defeated 3 advanced. Velthari colonies. During the journey, the crews continued preparing, but their preparations looked like chaos to outside observers. "Terran fleet," came Prime Observer's voice over the communication system. "We are monitoring your crew communications. The conversation patterns suggest panic responses and breakdown of command structure." Wan Ho was in the middle of a heated discussion with his tactical team. 3 officers were arguing about weapon configurations, while 2 engineers debated power routing options. Du Young was sketching battle formations on a tablet, while Jae-wook was running communication tests. "Prime Observer," Wan Ho said, not stopping his conversation. "This isn't panic. This is how we prepare for the unknown. We consider every possibility, argue about the best approaches, and stay flexible enough to change our minds. Your crew appears to be debating fundamental strategic decisions during combat approach. This seems highly inefficient." "Inefficient, maybe," A-Ra replied, "but adaptable. When we encounter the unexpected, we won't be locked into predetermined responses." Dr. So-Jin was analyzing the Krexhai attack patterns from the previous battles. They use mathematical models to predict enemy behavior. Every move is calculated 3 steps ahead. They're like chess masters playing against opponents who only know checkers. "So how do we beat chess masters?" Du Young asked. "We don't play chess," So-Jin replied. "We play something they've never seen before." The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the battle zone. What they saw was both beautiful and terrifying. Krexhai ships moved in perfect formations, their weapons firing in synchronized patterns. The few remaining Velthari vessels tried to respond, but their movements were too predictable. The machine intelligence was systematically dismantling the alien defense fleet. "Analysis complete," So-Jin reported. "The Krexhai are using the Velthari's own logical patterns against them. Every time the aliens try a new tactic, the machines calculate the optimal counter-response." "Time to be illogical," Wan Ho declared. He opened a communication channel to the entire human fleet. "All ships, this is General Wan Ho. Remember, we're not trying to win through superior firepower or tactics. We're trying to win through superior confusion. Make the enemy think we're crazy." "Sir," Du Young asked, "what if we actually are crazy?" "Then we'll fit right in," Wan Ho replied. The human fleet charged into battle, but instead of following military formations, they scattered in seemingly random directions. Ships broke apart and reformed in patterns that made no geometric sense. Some vessels flew straight at enemy positions, while others ran away, only to circle back from unexpected angles. The Krexhai response was immediate and devastating. Their weapons targeted the human ships with mathematical precision. But something strange happened. The humans kept moving in ways that shouldn't have been possible to coordinate. How are they maintaining unit cohesion while exhibiting random behavior patterns? Prime Observer asked over the communication system. "We're not maintaining cohesion," Taeho replied from his command ship. "We're improvising it moment by moment." Captain Du Young's ship suddenly broke formation and dove straight down relative to the battle plane. 2 other human vessels followed. But they scattered in different directions before regrouping behind a Krexhai cruiser. "Du Young, what are you doing?" Wan Ho asked. "I'm not sure yet," Du Young admitted. "But it felt right." "Felt right?" Prime Observer sounded alarmed. "You are making tactical decisions based on emotional responses?" "Sometimes," Wan Ho said, watching his fleet dance through the battle zone in patterns that probably violated several laws of physics. "Logic is predictable. Intuition isn't." The Krexhai were beginning to show signs of confusion. Their perfect formations wavered slightly as they tried to calculate human intentions. But how do you calculate the intentions of people who don't know their own intentions? General, Sojin reported. I think it's working. The machine intelligence is running probability calculations on our behavior, but we keep doing things that have zero probability. Good, Wanho replied. Let's give them something really impossible to calculate. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved through space in patterns that seemed completely random, but somehow worked perfectly. Captain Kim Do-young led his fighter squadron in what looked like a drunken dance around the HFY fleet. Red Squadron, break left, Do-young shouted into his communication system. Which way is left? Asked pilot Young Min-soo. I don't know. Just pick a direction and go with it. The human fighters scattered in 12 different directions. The HFY targeting computers tried to track them, but couldn't predict where they would go next. How could the machines calculate human intentions when the humans themselves didn't know what they were planning? On the main command ship, General Baek Wanho watched the chaos unfold on his tactical display. His fleet was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Ships appeared where they shouldn't be, disappeared when they should stay, and somehow managed to protect each other without any visible coordination. Status report, Wanho called out. Engineer Choi Min-ho looked up from his console. Power systems are running at 300% efficiency, sir. I've been rerouting energy conduits every 30 seconds to keep the HFY from predicting our capabilities. Is that safe? Asked Dr. Park So-jin. Absolutely not, Min-ho replied cheerfully. But it's working. Their scanners can't get a stable reading on our ships. Lieutenant Yoon Jae-wook was monitoring enemy communications. Sir, the HFY are transmitting analysis requests to each other. They're trying to share data about our tactics, but they can't agree on what our tactics actually are. That's because we don't have tactics, Wanho said. We have organized improvisation. Dr. Shin A-ra was studying the battle patterns on her screen. This is fascinating. We're achieving coordination through what appears to be complete disorder. Each ship is making independent decisions, but somehow, the overall result is coherent. How is that possible? Came Prime Observer's voice over the communication system. The Velthari were watching the battle from a safe distance, still trying to understand what they were seeing. Emergent behavior, A-ra explained while dodging laser fire. When you have intelligent individuals working toward the same goal, coordination can emerge naturally from apparent chaos. Captain Do-young's voice crackled over the radio. General, I've got an idea. What if we do something really stupid? Define. Stupid? Wanho replied. What if we deliberately make ourselves unpredictable to ourselves? Like each ship follows the ship next to it, but nobody knows who they're supposed to follow. Wanho considered this for exactly 2 seconds. Do it. Sir? Commander Lee Tae-ho looked worried. That could result in complete loss of fleet coordination. Or it could result in coordination patterns too complex for the HFY to analyze. A-ra countered. The human fleet immediately implemented Do-young's plan. Each ship began following the vessel to its right, creating a massive chain reaction of movement that nobody could predict. Ships turned when other ships turned, accelerated, when their neighbors accelerated, and fired when the ship next to them fired. The result was beautiful chaos. The human fleet moved like a flock of birds, each individual responding to its immediate neighbors, creating patterns that were both random and coordinated. The formation flowed and shifted like liquid, impossible to predict but somehow maintaining its overall structure. The HFY response was immediate confusion. Their targeting systems tried to track the human ships, but the movement patterns changed faster than their computers could calculate. Every time the machines thought they had found a pattern, the pattern changed. HFY fleet behavior is becoming erratic, Sojin reported. Their formation integrity is deteriorating. They're starting to interfere with each other's targeting solutions. On the enemy ships, machine minds were overheating trying to process the impossible. How could a fleet coordinate without central command? How could ships move together while acting independently? The mathematics didn't work. General, Minho called out, I'm reading massive processing spikes from the HFY ships. Their computer systems are working at maximum capacity, just trying to understand what we're doing. Good, Wonho replied. Let's give them something else to think about. He opened a channel to the entire human fleet. All ships, new game. When I say chaos, everyone do something completely unexpected. Don't think about it, just do it. Sir, Tejo protested, that could be dangerous. Everything we're doing is dangerous, Wonho replied. Ready? Chaos! The human fleet exploded into motion. Ships went in directions that violated basic physics. Fighters performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. Some vessels stopped completely and spun in place. Others accelerated directly toward enemy positions before suddenly veering away. Jung Min Su's fighter flew backwards while shooting forward. Pilot Lee Da-eun performed a barrel roll that turned into a spiral that became a figure 8. The entire squadron moved like they were performing an insane aerial ballet. This is incredible, A-Ra breathed, watching the tactical display. We're achieving tactical surprise by surprising ourselves. The HFY were now firing randomly. They're targeting. Computers unable to process the human movements. Machine intelligence that had conquered 3 worlds in perfect coordination was reduced to blind shooting. Prime Observer, Wonho said. Are you getting all this? Terran Fleet, came the alien voice, sounding stunned. You are achieving military coordination through methods that appear to violate basic principles of command and control. Basic principles are overrated, Du Young replied, his fighter somehow managing to attack 3 enemy ships simultaneously while flying in a corkscrew pattern. Dr. So-Jin was analyzing the enemy fleet's behavior. The HFY are adapting, but they're adapting wrong. They're trying to find logical patterns in our illogical behavior. Every adaptation makes them more predictable, not less. So we're winning by confusing them into losing? Jae-wook asked. We're winning by being ourselves, A-Ra corrected. This is how humans have always operated. We thrive on uncertainty, adapt to chaos, and find order in disorder. Engineer Minho suddenly had an inspiration. What if we randomize our own systems? Make it impossible for us to know what we're going to do next? How would that work? Tejo asked. Computer-generated random commands. The ship's computer gives us instructions, but the instructions are generated by pure chance. We follow them, without question. Wonho loved the idea immediately. Do it. Within minutes, human ships were following randomly generated orders. Turn left for no reason. Accelerate for 30 seconds. Fire at the closest target. Stop and spin. The commands made no tactical sense, but they created movement patterns that were absolutely impossible to predict. The HFY fleet began to retreat. Machine minds that had operated flawlessly for thousands of years were experiencing something they had never encountered. Total confusion. They could not calculate probabilities for actions that had no logical basis. They're pulling back, Sojin reported. HFY ships are moving to minimum safe distance. Are they regrouping? Wonho asked. No, sir. I think they're having the machine equivalent of nervous breakdowns. Prime Observer's voice crackled over the communication system. Terran fleet, the HFY are transmitting surrender signals. They are requesting cessation of hostilities. The human fleet gradually slowed its chaotic dance. Ships began to resume normal formations, though it took several minutes for everyone to figure out where they were supposed to be. Did we just win? Do Young asked. I think so, Wonho replied, though I'm not entirely sure how. We won by being unpredictable, Ah-Ra explained. The HFY are machine intelligences. They need logical patterns to function. When faced with truly random behavior, they couldn't cope. So our chaos defeated their order? Taeho asked. Our controlled chaos defeated their rigid order, Ah-Ra corrected. There's a difference. We weren't actually random. We were improvising within a framework of shared goals. The HFY ships were already jumping to hyperspace, fleeing from an enemy they couldn't understand. Machine minds that had conquered worlds were retreating from humans who had won a battle by confusing themselves. Prime Observer, Wonho said, I believe your worlds are safe now. Terran General, came the reply. We must discuss this further. Your species has demonstrated capabilities that challenge our understanding of military science. Happy to talk, Wonho replied, but fair warning, the discussion might get a little chaotic. 2 weeks after the battle, the harmony of spheres hung peacefully beside the Terran defense station. The massive crystal ship looked different somehow, less distant, more curious. Inside the station's main conference room, history was being made. Ambassador Kang Subin sat across from Prime Observer at a round table. The alien had finally agreed to meet in person. It was strange to see the Velthari representative. They looked almost human, except for the pale blue skin and the way their eyes seemed to process information too quickly. Dr. Shin Ah-Ra placed her research notes on the table. She had spent every waking moment since the battle analyzing what had happened. Her conclusions were going to change everything. Prime Observer, Ah-Ra began. Your species made a fundamental error in analyzing human behavior. What you interpreted as psychological dysfunction was actually advanced cognitive adaptation. The alien tilted their head slightly. Please explain. This distinction. General Baek Wonho leaned forward. You thought we were broken because we don't think like you. But we're not broken. We're different. And that difference saved your worlds. The HFY defeated 3 Velthari colonies using superior computational analysis, Prime Observer stated. Your species defeated the HFY using what appeared to be random responses. This creates a logical paradox. Dr. Park Sojin smiled. That's exactly the point. Humans don't operate on pure logic. We use intuition, emotion, creativity, and yes, organized chaos. These aren't bugs in our system. They're features. Commander Lee Taeho activated a holographic display showing the recent battle. Look at this. Footage. Prime Observer. What do you see? The alien studied the swirling patterns of human ships moving through space. I observed tactical coordination without central command structure, unit cohesion maintained through apparent disorder, effective decision-making despite emotional volatility. Exactly, Ah-Ra said. Humans have evolved a form of collective intelligence that doesn't require consensus or central control. We coordinate through what we call emergent behavior. Captain Kim Do-young entered the room carrying coffee for everyone. His fighter squadron had performed the most impossible maneuvers during the battle, and he looked tired but happy. Sorry I'm late, Do-young said. I was explaining to some of your cultural specialists how we managed to coordinate our attacks. They're having trouble understanding how we knew what each other was thinking without direct communication. How did you know? Prime Observer asked. Du Young shrugged. We didn't. We just trusted each other to do the right thing in the moment. When you've worked with someone long enough, you develop intuition about how they'll respond. Intuition, the alien repeated slowly. Decision-making based on incomplete information and emotional processing. It's more than that, A-Ra explained. Human intuition is rapid parallel processing of multiple variables, pattern recognition, and predictive modeling that happens below conscious awareness. What looks like emotion-based decisions are actually incredibly sophisticated analysis. Lieutenant Yoon Jae-wook looked up from his datapad. I've been studying the Krexhai surrender messages. Their machine intelligence couldn't process what they called probability cascades. Every time they predicted our behavior, we did something that had zero statistical likelihood. But how is this possible? Prime Observer asked. Random behavior should result in defeat, not victory. Engineer Choi Min-ho grinned. It wasn't random. It was creative. Big difference. Random means no pattern at all. Creative means patterns that are too complex or too novel for standard analysis. Subin leaned back in her chair. Prime Observer, I think your species and ours represent two different approaches to intelligence. You achieve excellence through consensus and logical analysis. We achieve excellence through diversity and adaptive chaos. Adaptive chaos, the alien mused. You maintain this is a superior approach? Not superior, A-Ra corrected. Complementary. Your approach works perfectly in stable environments with predictable challenges. Our approach works better in unstable environments with novel challenges. The Krexhai presented a novel challenge, Prime Observer acknowledged. Exactly. They had analyzed every known tactical doctrine in the galaxy. They could predict the responses of every logical military force. But they couldn't predict us because we don't follow doctrines. We improvise. Wonho activated another display showing galactic strategic analysis. Prime Observer, your confederation has been stable for thousands of years. That's incredible. But stability can become a weakness when you face something truly unexpected. You are suggesting our psychological development is insufficient? No, Subin said quickly. We're suggesting it's different. You've optimized for harmony and consensus. We've optimized for adaptability and resilience. Du Young set down his coffee cup. During the battle, I made decisions that I couldn't explain, logically, but they worked. How do you analyze something like that? You trust the process, A-Ra explained. Human decision-making integrates logical analysis with pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, and creative thinking. We call it intuition, but it's actually a very sophisticated form of information processing. Prime Observer was quiet for a long moment. Our initial assessment classified your species as psychologically impaired. We recommended therapeutic intervention. And now? Taeho asked. Now we must reconsider fundamental assumptions about intelligence and social development. Jae-wook pulled up communication logs from the past weeks. We've been analyzing your messages, Prime Observer. Your species achieves consensus through careful deliberation. Every decision is reviewed by your collective consciousness. It's beautiful, but it's also slow. Slow decision-making prevents errors, the alien replied. Sometimes, Min-ho agreed, but sometimes you need to make decisions faster than perfect analysis allows. That's when human-style thinking becomes valuable. Sojin leaned forward. We'd like to propose something, Prime Observer. Instead of trying to fix humanity, what if we work together? Your logical approach combined with our adaptive approach could solve problems neither of us could handle alone. Collaboration between psychologically distinct species? Collaboration between cognitively complementary species, Ara corrected. Wonho smiled. Think about it. You have perfect coordination and logical analysis. We have rapid adaptation and creative problem-solving. Together, we'd be incredibly effective. Prime Observer considered this. The Confederation has never encountered a species that achieved spaceflight through psychological diversity rather than psychological unity. Maybe that's because you were looking for species like yourselves, Subin suggested, but intelligence can evolve in many different ways. Your chaos defeated our greatest threat in hours, the alien admitted. Our logical approaches had failed completely. Our chaos guided by shared values and common goals, Tejo emphasized. We're not actually random, Prime Observer. We just process information and make decisions differently than you do. Du Young stood up and walked to the window overlooking space. You know what I think? I think the galaxy needs both kinds of thinking. Your way and our way. Prime Observer followed, his gaze. The Confederation Council will require extensive deliberation before accepting this perspective. Of course they will, Ara laughed. That's how your species works. Take all the time you need. We'll be here being chaotic and getting things done. There is one matter to resolve immediately, the alien said. Your species classification? Status. What about it? Subin asked. You cannot remain classified as psychologically impaired. The evidence contradicts this assessment. Wonho grinned. So, what's our new classification? Prime Observer seemed to struggle with the concept. We are creating a new category. Species that achieve functionality through controlled disorder. Species that maintain coordination through apparent chaos. Species that solve problems through methods that appear impossible, but produce results. What's the official term? Jawook asked. Respectably chaotic. The room erupted in laughter. Even Prime Observer seemed to understand why this was funny. Respectably chaotic, Subin repeated. I like it. The Confederation Council will debate full membership status for your species, Prime Observer continued. However, given recent events, I believe the outcome is favorable. Tejo looked around the room at his colleagues. You hear that, everyone? We're officially respectably chaotic. It has a nice ring to it, Minho agreed. Prime Observer stood up. There is one additional matter. The Confederation requires human advisors to assist with future crisis response. Your adaptive capabilities may prove essential for challenges we cannot predict. You want us to teach other species how to be chaotic? Du Young asked. You want us to help the galaxy learn to improvise, Ara translated. Both concepts appear accurate. Subin extended her hand toward Prime Observer. Welcome to the wonderful world of controlled chaos. The alien looked at the offered hand, then slowly reached out and shook it. Welcome to the Galactic Confederation, humanity. Try not to confuse everyone too badly. No promises, Wonho replied. Outside the station's windows, human and Velthari ships moved together in formations that somehow combined perfect order with creative flexibility. It was beautiful to watch. Two different approaches to intelligence, working together to protect a galaxy that was about to become a much more interesting place. The age of respectably chaotic diplomacy had begun.